The Germans had many camps in Europe designed to exterminate people they didn't like. The group they didn't like the most were the Jews. And the most notorious camp in Europe is Auschwitz. It wasn't called Auschwitz. The Polish name for Auschwitz is Oświęcim, but the Nazis renamed it Auschwitz during the Second World War. Auschwitz had different camps, but the two main camps were just outside the town. One was an area called Birkenau, and the other area was a couple of kilometers away, which was an old Polish army camp. But Birkenau was the camp where they killed most of the people. And they had in Birkenau 4 crematoria, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Crematoria number 1 was in the Polish army camp, and also was only a few feet away from the wall of the garden of the commandant, Rudolf Hoss. But Birkenau was the main site for killing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, most of whom were Jews. There were very few SS people available to run these camps, but the camps were run on fear, and that was the way they controlled huge numbers of people in the camp themselves. There was a group of people, Jewish people, whose job was to assist in the carrying out of the killing of people in the gas chambers. They weren't responsible for killing these people. They were forced to work for the Nazi, for the SS, in order for the job to be done, the job to be to exterminate people. This group of people was called the Sonderkommando. You may wonder why the Sonderkommando didn't sabotage the operation. They all lived in hope that they would live. It was a vain hope. But there was one group of Sonderkommandos that did revolt against the Nazis. And that revolt took place on Saturday the 7th of October 1944. Explosives were smuggled in by 4 Jewish women, and the revolt was carried out and several SS personnel were killed, and some of the Sonderkommandos escaped. But the revolt failed. And as a result of this failure, the SS took several reprisals in revenge against this act of sabotage by the Sonderkommando. One of the reprisals was the hanging of the 4 women who smuggled the explosives into Birkenau. And the other reprisal, and I have to read from this book by Martin Gilbert. The other reprisal. The second repercussion was an act of vengeance against 650 boys aged between 14 and 16. Most of the boys were from Hungary. And had been deported to Birkenau in the summer. On October the 20th, they were forced to undress, and a selection of the fittest was made. Only 50 of the 650 boys were selected to live. The rest were to be killed. An account of their fate survives, written by another member of the Sonderkommando, and was hidden by him shortly before he was himself murdered. His notes were not discovered in the ground here, in the ground of Birkenau until 1962. I will read out the account. In the middle of a bright day, he wrote, 600 Jewish boys, aged between 12 to 18, dressed in long striped clothes. They were very thin. Their feet were shod in worn-out shoes or wooden clogs. The boy looked so handsome and was so well built that even these rags did not mar their beauty. They were brought by 25 SS men, heavily burdened with grenades. When they came to the square, the commander Führer gave the order for them to undress in the square. The boys noted the smoke belching from the chimney, and at once guessed that they were being led to death. They began running hither and thither in the square in wild terror, tearing their hair, not knowing how to save themselves. Many burst into horrible tears. There resounded dreadful lamentation. The commander Führer and his helper beat the defenseless boys horribly to make them undress. His club broke, even owing to that beating. So he brought another and continued the beating over the head until violence became victorious. The boy is undressed, instinctively afraid of death. Naked and barefooted, they herded together in order to avoid the blows and did not budge from the spot. One brave boy approached the Kommandoführer, standing beside him, and begged him to spare his life, promising he would do even the hardest work. In reply, the SS man hit him several times over the head with the thick club. Many boys, in a wild hurry, ran towards those Jews from the Sonderkommando, threw their arms around the latter's neck, begging for help. Others scurried naked all over the big square in order to escape from death. The Kommandoführer called the sergeant with a rubber truncheon to his assistant. The young, clear, boyish voices resounded louder and louder with every minute, when at last they passed into bitter sobbing. This dreadful lamentation was heard from very afar. We stood completely aghast, as if paralyzed by this mournful weeping. Some boys, in spite of everything, still continued to scurry confusedly hither and thither in the square, seeking salvation. The SS men followed them, beat and belabored them until they had mastered the situation, and at last drove them into the bunker. Their joy was indescribable. Did they not have children ever? And that's the account of just one incident of the horrors of the Nazi German did to people in that camp, the site of more murders than any other place on this earth, from a country that was meant to be cultured. It's unbelievable what human beings can do to other human beings in sheer hate for a crime none of them committed. How can that be a crime to be a Jew? How can that be right? How can that possibly be right? And this not happened hundreds of years ago, but happened only in recent times. Atrocities like this continue to be done on people throughout the world, in some countries in the world, even today.